Hi, hello, and welcome to yet another episode of World Cup Tidbits with Gully Cricket. And here we have our boys, Manas and Shach, who are smiling and beaming. All right, Shash, it's about time, isn't it? Okay, that India announced their arrival at the World Cup. We were hoping for this moment for a long time, but when it came, it was really, really good. I mean, India were wild and free, and they expressed themselves.
Yes, this is the brand of cricket that we would actually want them to, see playing, and I think we got that yesterday. Especially the openers, Rohit Sharma, he showed intent right from the first over, and it is required right now because you need to win all your games by big margins so that you give yourself the best shot. Uh, of course, you want other results to go your way as well, but yeah, at least you're given yourself a chance where the run rate has gone into the positive as well, courtesy of that big win. So it was a pretty dominating performance, you would say, against a team that was actually looking good,
Hmm.
an Afghanistan team which has done well against even Pakistan as well. So yeah, it's a good comeback, you can say.
Exactly. Well said. I mean, it was a crucial win considering that Afghanistan is going to be the toughest of the three opponents that we are going to play. All right,
Yeah.
Manas, we discussed yesterday, right? I mean, things must have freed up for India. And that's exactly what, right? I mean, you take Rahul, or Rohit, or even Rishabh Pant, or even Hardik Pandya, for example, right? They came in, okay, they swung around, and the results were there for everyone to see.
Yeah, so exactly like how Shaz told, that's the kind of like brand of cricket that we would want to play, and it just shows the class like what Rohit and Rahul have. And if not for those two brilliant balls by Shaheen in the first match, I think they would have gone this way in that match as well. So and easily that favor would have been in India's side if they had like played well in the remaining games as well. So this is the like old India which we know, and the India which we want them to play like.
Hmm.
So it was good to watch them, and yeah, Virat Kohli didn't even come to bat because they wanted to get runs on board, and Virat Kohli kind of plays the anchor innings. So he let Pant go and score some boundaries. He too with some like brilliant boundaries, and then came Pandya as well. So yeah, you can't really tell that Afghanistan bowled poorly because even the second last ball was a brilliant Yorker, and if
Hmm.
Bumrah had bowled that, it would have been a wicket. But Hardik Pandya just hit it for the fourth. So they had some good bowling, but Indian batters were too good for the night yesterday.
Yeah, it was all that French cut four which Pandya hit, and a lot of
Mm.
one-handed sixes, which
Yeah,
Rishabh Pant is making a habit,
trademark.
yeah, a habit out of it as well. Shash, even in the bowling performance, right? I mean, we had some good bowling performance. Shami took 3 wickets, okay, and Ashwin played after a long time, okay, and apparently, I think after 5 years, he has taken a wicket in T20 internationals, and he was tight, wasn't it? I mean, probably going ahead against Scotland and Namibia, I think that could be very, very good for India as well.
Yes, I mean, the return of Ashwin was something that was going to be seen with keen interest. And I think he did quite well, like he didn't give any runs or any freebies, and the batsman actually struggled to get him away. And he also picked up those 2 wickets in the middle overs, which in the end restricted the Afghanistan score as well. It was imperative that, we have a margin of more than 63 runs so that we
Mhm,
could get into the positive net run rate,
mhm.
and that also benefited because we managed to pick up wickets in the middle overs as well, and that can be attributed purely to Ashwin's ability, of not giving runs and also keeping it tight and getting those wickets.
Yeah, so India kept it tight, got those wickets, and yeah, I mean, probably we might think, oh my God, we could have won by 80 runs, 90 runs. Okay, but then, okay, a win is a win. India are off the mark in the World Cup, and who knows? I mean, I know it's too far ahead to think about a lot of things, but let's see what happens. Okay, which brings us to the other match of yesterday. Manas, the best thing I liked about the New Zealand versus Scotland match was, you know what, the Scotland wicketkeeper, he said, "What? No, what? The whole of India is behind us, boys. The whole of India is behind us, boys." I mean, that's going to be
Yeah.
the theme of the next 4 or 5 days, isn't it, Manas?
Yeah, so like a lot of positive takeaway for Scotland from this game. Their bowling was on point. Their batting was on point, and they had the support of like India and Scotland both. So like they gave a fight.
That's a huge support. I don't think Scotland would ever have got like, what is that, 130 crore people cheering for them at any point of time.
Yeah, 1385. I read somewhere 1385 million people are supporting Scotland, and only 5 million were from Scotland and rest were from India.
Exactly.
Yeah, so they started off well. Sharif giving just 1 run and then taking the last match top scorer actually, Daryl Mitchell, off the first ball in the second over, and again dismissing Williamson as well for a duck. So they imposed themselves well till the 10th over, and kept New Zealand on the check for like 70 for 3. But that's when Guptill decided to accelerate, and even though he didn't have a good record in Asia, this was just his second 15-25 innings in Asia. So at that from that point, it was just a sitting feast, and till the 17th over, I think they had 7 sixes and no fours at all. So it was all sixes, and again Scotland pulled up things in the end, and they had some good death bowling as well, and they could restrict for 172. But New Zealand looked like they're going to go past 200.
Yeah.
And with the batting as well.
Yeah, I think in the last 3 overs, like they had only around 22 runs.
Yeah.
But Shash, if you look at it from hindsight, right, you would think, oh my God, if only Scotland would have taken those catches from Guptill. Okay, I mean, I think he got a couple of lives as well. Then probably they were actually in with a shot, right? I mean, that's actually a wonderful performance by Scotland yesterday.
Yes, definitely. I mean, you wouldn't have thought that they would have put up that kind of a fight, to be honest, because they had them in a strangle, as Manas mentioned, in the first 10 overs, where they could get only 60 odd or something, and they'd also lost 3 wickets. I mean, and also looking at New Zealand's batting, after Jimmy Neesham, there's not much to talk about. Santner is your all-rounder, but then it is followed up by the bowlers. So if Scotland would have been able to pick up of 1 or 2 wickets, break the partnership of maybe Glenn Phillips and Guptill, then you never know, they might have had a chance of winning the game as well. But nevertheless, it was a very courageous performance, is what I would like to say, because they ended up losing by just 16 runs in the end. So they would have been well within a shot if they had restricted them to like 150 or 160.
Right. I mean, in the end, it actually turned out to be good for India as well, that New Zealand won by a smaller margin. And I mean, some of those shots from Michael Leask and everyone, right? I mean, so I don't know, like if the IPL is watching and stuff, they could actually end up getting a couple of contracts as well. Okay. All right. So that was our analysis of yesterday. And today is Diwali, folks. Okay. So I could hear crackers and everything going around in our houses. And we have 2 super firecracker matches in Group 1, right? So Manas, Australia was Bangladesh. Bangladesh is out of the competition, and probably they would want to drag Australia also when they could take on that flight, isn't it?
Yeah, they have done it before at Bangladesh, and the pitches are similar. But coming to the group stages, I think Bangladesh have been extremely poor, and also when they played in Bangladesh, they were missing. Australia was missing Warner and Smith, and they have good numbers against Bangladesh. So I don't think that's going to happen, that Bangladesh will drag Australia as well with them. So expecting Australia to win this, considering the numbers that Australian batsmen have, and the bowlers as well. Hazelwood has been brilliant against Bangladesh all the time, taking 2 to 3 wickets in every game. So I think it's pretty much Australia's game tonight.
So Shash, you know what? Australia started off pretty well, right? I mean, they had 2 victories, but suddenly one hammering at the hands of England. And suddenly, like, again, everybody is starting to question Australia's credentials as a T20 team, okay, and all of that, right? So they would want to put that to rest, because the scenario is interesting, right? I mean, even if they win the next 2 matches, it could actually come out all to net run rate. So they would want to go impose themselves like how Australia do in big matches.
Yes, I think that is the brand of cricket that they would want to play, because they can also cash in on the poor form that Bangladesh is in. And, they can go ahead and, show other people that, I mean, they're not the same old Australia which was there in the other T20 tournaments, because they've had 2 good wins, but then that one defeat, it can happen, over the course of a game. They can have one bad day. I think they would want to brush that aside like that. And especially the openers, who are known to be attacking players like Warner and Finch, they would want to play the natural game and, get the team off to a good start. Yeah, but as Mana said, I think it should be Australia today.
It should be Australia, but how they win and the margin and the run rate should be a very, very interesting factor. And as we said, it's a Diwali day and we have one more match as well. So Manas, the defending champions, okay, West Indies or taking on Sri Lanka. Same old story, isn't it? Sri Lanka is out of the competition. West Indies are just clinging on by a whisker. Okay, but knowing West Indies, right? I mean, again, they would want to go wild and free and just play out like their brand of cricket.
Yeah, so West Indies have been playing poor against spin, and Abu Dhabi is a pitch where I think paces are assisted more. So I'm expecting West Indies to come back today. But that being said, they have a very poor record against right arm off break, and in the recent matches we saw how Sri Lanka's Mahesh Tikshana, some player, is bowling. He's a right arm off break bowler, so he could create some trouble for the West Indies batsmen. Otherwise, yeah, they can go all guns blazing, like we know how the West Indies was, and the kind of cricket they can play with like sixes in almost every ball. So if they do that well, then they can definitely get to a huge total and win the game. But Sri Lanka also is not a poor team because they did not play poor or did not play excellently as well this season, but they gave a fight, and in all the matches they just missed a winning margin. So it's going to be a team of equals, game of equals.
Exactly. I think I have to agree with that, Shash, because like Sri Lanka, I mean, they had their own performances, isn't it? I mean, Hasaranga got a hat trick, and there were times wherein they had the opposition on the mat. It's just that they did not win the big moments, but I'm sure they would want to sign off their campaign, okay, in style by actually beating the defending champions and taking them along with them.
Yes, as you said, they've had individual performances or individual brilliances, you can say, but it's not collectively come as a team performance. So that is why they've not been able to close games. They would want to, finish on a high because for West Indies, I mean, even if they win, if either South Africa or Australia win the next two games, then they're out. Yeah, but then they would want to give themselves a chance. As it is being played in Abu Dhabi, the wicket has generally been on the truer sense, like similar to Dubai. So I think it would sort of suit their style of play. So yeah, hoping to see a good game today.
Yeah, so we're hoping to see two good games today. So wonderful day for Indian fans yesterday. So to be very honest, we should say, you know what, India lives to fight another 2 days. Okay, or India survive and their hopes are still clinging on. And today in Group 1, it could well be a deciding day, okay, for a lot of the teams as well. So enjoy the cricket, folks. Do not forget our contest. So this is going to be the link to predict your man of the match for both the matches today. And let's see who the winners are from yesterday. For the first match, okay, New Zealand versus Scotland, it's Martin Guptill. Okay, the man of the match for his wonderful 93. And let's see who the winner is. Here we go. We have expert Confess. Okay, who is the winner for yesterday? Martin Guptill. Well done. And the second match is, of course, Rohit Sharma, the hitman. Jersey number 45. Who else it can be? And the winner is, here we go,
Mohammad Siraj.
The man from Hyderabad. Mohammad Siraj. Well done.
Congrats.
Well done. So congratulations, folks. Wish you all a very, very happy Diwali. So Manas and Shash, you want to say happy Diwali to all our viewers?
Yes, wishing everyone happy, safe and prosperous Diwali is what I would like to say.
Exactly, guys. Okay. Have fun, enjoy the cricket and keep predicting. Cheers, guys.